As promised, here I am doing my Leviathan review. I just finished the Leviathan DLC for Mass Effect 3, and I gotta say, I liked it. I think overall I had a positive experience with this DLC, but I don't think it is for everyone. And I'm gonna do this review considering everyone who is watching it. Some of you kind of have this mentality towards Mass Effect now that you don't even want to hear anything about Mass Effect because it just sickens you. And for those of you who feel that way, I would recommend just looking it up on YouTube if you're curious and doing it that way. But I would recommend for some of you to play this because I have a feeling that some of you that have an urge to play this, you really want to in the back of your mind, but you're just looking up reviews and whatnot just to avoid paying the $10. And if you haven't spoiled it for yourself yet, I would recommend buying it. However, I don't believe that it's worth the $10 that I paid for it. If it were offered at a lower price, I would have paid it, but that's, it is $10 and that's what you get. But I'm going to talk more about the positive and negatives and in a spoiler-free way as much as possible. Obviously, the plot of this is that Shepard learns some intel about a creature called Leviathan that supposedly took down a Reaper, and the objective of this DLC is to find out more about this Leviathan, who this Leviathan is, what it is, and how it can help in Shepard's cause against the Reapers, because that is the objective of the third game, uniting the galaxy and uniting forces to stop the Reapers. So, I feel as though they advertised it in a way that was a bit misleading, and I would advertise it, the way I would label this DLC is that it is the mysteries of Leviathan, discovering the mysteries of Leviathan. That's kind of the way the gameplay goes, the way the story goes, is discovering this mystery, and at the end you discover a mystery, and you have a great confrontation with the Leviathan. And that's what I would label it as, more of a discovering mystery than the underwater action adventure that they kind of implied that it would be. I felt that this DLC really lacked in the action department. There was a few, maybe 2 or 3 times where you fight enemies, and they incorporated the drones, the drone mission from the multiplayer in which you have a drone follow you and take it to a destination. That was incorporated into it, so I guess that was a little bit different, but the gameplay wasn't too different. Also, when it says that there's going to be a underwater atlas mission, it was more of an experience, and you experiencing the underwater atlas, more than a action gameplay type experience. So I don't want you to look forward to that if you were looking forward to more of an action-y thing under the water. It's more of the visual and cutscene type thing, even though you do explore to a certain extent, but I can't give too much away. A lot of people spoke of how they wish that this DLC, the kind of the mark that's set for Mass Effect DLC is Lair of the Shadow Broker, and I completely agree. If you don't buy any Mass Effect DLC, buy Lair of the Shadow Broker. I think that's definitely worth the $10, and it's worth, just the gameplay is great, the story's great. That's actually the DLC that made me love Liara. I didn't really care for her character that much until I played that DLC, and then I had to play the game again and discover her all over again, because I realized that, she had more depth than I thought that she did, and it's a really good, you probably had, it spoiled for you now that you know that Liara is the Shadow Broker, but definitely buy that if you haven't gotten that. That's the only DLC that I think you can't live without. Oh, that and the, obviously the From Ashes DLC that deserves to be bought, because the Mass Effect 3 it feels kind of void without the From Ashes DLC, because, yeah, Javik is just such an integral part of the story, especially the Thessia mission. But back on track. As I was comparing it to Lair of the Shadowbroker, and the Lair of the Shadowbroker, it, that's, if you've played it before, the part where you're finding clues as to where Liara is. That part is demonstrated in the initial gameplay, but it's more of a puzzle. Like, you're finding pieces and then you're trying to activate things, and I mean, it's not uber complicated, obviously. Like, this isn't Myst, but it was a kind of puzzle solving thing. That was kind of fun. It wasn't really challenging or anything, but it was fun. Yes, there was some combat. Oh, the one thing that I really enjoyed about this was the crew all had dialogue, and they integrated that well. I'm pretty sure none of the DLC from the second game, the single player DLC, had any dialogue from any characters, and it distracted from the immersion of the game. I felt less immersed into the DLC because I felt like, oh, this is a DLC, like none of my characters are talking. And you get dialogue with all of the characters, I believe. And I brought Garrus and Caden on the mission because Caden was my love interest in this playthrough, and Garrus is my bro. He's also my love interest in my Renegade playthrough. So I really enjoyed that there was some great dialogue. I mean, it wasn't super immersed, but that my crew commented on things, and I really appreciated their feedback. It made me feel more immersed in it. And I will play. I think this has replay value just because the crew has dialogue, and I can play again and see what other crew members have to say. I mean, that I was very impressed that they got everyone back to record this, or maybe they already recorded it. I don't know, but another thing I liked was it integrated the themes of the first game very well, and it didn't do it. It made it seem kind of flawless. It integrated the Rachni. It integrated some other things that I won't mention, but they were just mentioned. I mean, I don't think it was an integral part of the experience, but it was neat to hear some of the things from the first game and some of the DLC from the first and second game brought back in the side missions. Also, the environment was very much compared. I very much felt like the side missions, the creepiness of the side missions in the first game, and I love the side missions in the first game because they were very you just got that sense of exploration from the first game, with the Mako. That was the one good thing about the Mako, or Myko, however you pronounce it, was that you could explore more, and the missions were really creepy, especially the ones with Cerberus. The side missions with Cerberus were very creepy with all those, and the cult ones where the people were just kind of brainwashed. You can expect that same creepiness from one of the missions in this, and I really enjoyed that. It just made me feel like I was walking through Mass Effect again, and that was fun. What else? The writing is good, I think, for the most part. Except there's, they say, a lot of characters say, "You shall not pursue the darkness." That was the one line that kind of made me cringe. I was just like, no, don't do that. But I mean, assuming direct control is kind of just as cheesy, but everyone loves that. I mean, it's kind of funny. But I think the writing was decent and good. They added a lot of depth to Anne Bryan, more than I expected them to, especially for a character that wasn't that important, but I appreciate that they did. I almost thought that they were going to make her more of an important character with all the development they did, but I mean, it continued that theme of emotion and dealing with all the horrors of war and whatnot. That was definitely integrated into this, but I could see the only problem with that is Shepard is very compassionate towards Anne Bryan, or whatever. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, but in the auto dialogue she is, and that kind of bothered me, because if I'm playing as my Renegade Shep is just a toughen it up. Like, that's her advice when everyone asks her for advice. She just, like, toughen it up, kick Reaper butt, just focus on the enemy and don't focus on your fears or worries. And that kind of, I mean, but some of this idle dialogue, that was the problem in Mass Effect 3 in general. So, you know, I guess it is what it is. I would love to discuss in depth the confrontation with the Leviathan. That was the best part. And I don't know. I don't know if you personally, if you played it, what you thought, but what I appreciated about it is Leviathan treats you like an adult, treats you like someone who can comprehend what he's saying. And so I would compare this conversation to Vigil's conversation in Mass Effect 1. That was one of the most satisfying conversations and discussion of the Reapers. It was very informative, and I learned a lot from it, and I really enjoyed it. I even started recording myself, but because to do a face cam, but all I did was this the whole time. It was great. I don't really know what else to say without giving it away, but it highlights a lot of the mystery of the Reapers, and it adds more depth to the ending. I just wish after seeing this that it had been Leviathan at the end instead of the Catalyst, because the Catalyst, you know, the ending really doesn't change the actual ending. It adds some dialogue, as I said, as I predicted. So I don't think that's spoiling by saying that. I hope that I'm saying that and, you know, kind of getting you to not put your hopes too high for that. But yeah, I would have enjoyed a conversation with the Leviathan instead of the Catalyst, because the Catalyst speaks to you as though you're stupid. Like, no, this is the way things are. This is the way they're supposed to be. And it's just like, no. Every time Shepard says something, it's just no. And the Leviathan actually has a great conversation with you. And I'm not going to say more than that. Also, there's new guns. I don't really think that's that big of a deal, because most of us have already played the game. It might be great to, when I play the game again, when I finally finish my mail shop playthrough. But yeah, there's some new stuff in there too. That's good. Okay, so this is my summary. I just talked about all the things I liked, all the things I didn't like. Oh, I didn't talk about that. Did I talk about the Atlas? Yes. The Atlas mission where you're underwater was really great cinematically. It was a great experience to walk through and see the ocean and just feel that just creepy space-like just desertion that Shepard had going on there, but it wasn't action. There was no shooting going on. It was just an exploration kind of moment. But the summary is, it could have been much longer. Most Mass Effect DLC isn't very long, and I think they made a good product with the short amount of time that they had. Honestly, I think most DLC is way too pricey as it is. I just don't like most DLC, and like Batman Arkham City just blew up with DLC, and anyways, I think the only DLC that's truly worth paying $10 for is Bethesda DLC, because I would pay $20 for that DLC because it's so substantial. Like, you get so much. But I feel like I would more pay like $4 for it, or $5 for what we got, because there wasn't much action. There was just story, really. I mean, there was some action, but not as much as I was expecting. So here's what I'd recommend. So some of you told me you're going to watch this and decide whether or not you're going to buy it. If you have been thinking about this all day, you've been looking at Xbox Live or, PSN, I don't know what all it's released on now, or Steam, and you're just like looking at it, and you've been thinking and contemplating all day about whether or not you want to buy it. It's $10, and I know you really want to buy it. Just buy it. It's good. It's good. it is a little too more pricey than I would have liked for what I got, but yeah, you'll enjoy it if you really want to play it. If you don't want to play this and you still really have a grudge against Mass Effect, I don't think this is going to change. You paying $10 for this DLC isn't going to change your opinion of it. If you want to just know what happened, just look it up on YouTube. It's already on there, and see it that way, you know, because you're not at a loss for doing that. And I want to be completely honest with you, because I know you guys are different perspectives of this, and some of you even hated the extended cut DLC. I thought the extended cut DLC was much better than the original ending, but I can totally understand why you'd still be kind of pissed off, because I was so pissed off at the original ending. So if you're really just angry still, don't buy it. You know, it's not going to change your opinion that much. Or maybe you will see it on YouTube and then it'll change your opinion, and maybe, you know, you'll want to buy it after that. But for those of you that really are interested in this, just buy it and experience it, because having it spoiled for you will kind of ruin it. You know, I don't want this to be spoiled for you. It's the mystery of it, and figuring it out as you go along is part of the charm of it, and that's why I enjoyed it. So that's what I recommend, whether or not you want to buy it. This wasn't, I don't know what I'd rate it on a scale. I don't usually do that, but it wasn't top of the notch, but it was good, and I'm really glad that I bought it. I'm really glad that I played it, because of the discussion with Leviathan. And I looked on Bioware forums today, and because I've been avoiding the internet like a plague until I could play this, and some people said that they downright hated it, and I think most of those people that downright hated it hated the extended cut as well. Are still upset. So I don't know how much more I can talk about that and beat that dead horse. You know, that's why I don't plan on talking too much about Mass Effect. I will talk about it every once in a while, because it is my favorite game still, and it's hard not to talk about the games that you play over and over and over again. But I understand for some of you, this is just like, you can't resurrect your love for Mass Effect, and I really sympathize with you, because I still love it. Also, I'm going to make a video later on this week, or maybe right after this, talking about how I just met 100 subscribers. Yay! Thank you so much, guys, for subscribing. I really appreciate it. And the way I want to reward you guys is I want to have a Q&A. You can submit your questions. I'll make a new video, and then you can submit your questions or send me messages. But I would like you to comment on that video, because it's harder for me to get through my private messages, because a lot of that stuff is spam. But yeah, so when I make that video, comment and give me your questions that you want to ask me about maybe the games I like, the things I like to do, anything about my life. The only questions I want to ask are, you know, where I live and stuff. I'm from the United States, and that's all I need to say about where I live. Yeah, nothing like inappropriate or anything, but I'm pretty sure you guys will be cool, except for like the trolls, which I'll just ignore anyways. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. This is awesome. Like, I just blinked and all of a sudden I had 100 subscribers. I had like 60 the other day, and so that's crazy. So yeah, that's just my opinion of Leviathan. You know, remember to comment and like and subscribe, all that awesome jazz, and you will see more from me later. I should go. Guess what's on my shoulder? Look at that. Can you see that? I can't. Mark Mir. Yep. He touched my shoulder. Get jealous. I know you're jealous.